High impact practices in teaching and learning would include things such as community-based learning, connection to mentors, connection to potential employers when the students are finished their learning. It would be, in my opinion, something that comes at the end of their learning experience at the university, where they can capitalize on all of their academic learning and really synergize it and mobilize it out in the real world. So my favorite high impact learning experience that I've designed to date, and I design a lot of them, has been a collaboration with Oxford Brookes University in Oxford, UK. So it's a collaboration between the University of Windsor and Oxford Brookes. What we've done is we've connected business consulting students at the MBA and the undergraduate level with bioscience students in Oxford Brookes University. So what we did was we threw everybody into this melting pot where they could actually experience what it felt like to commercialize a scientific discovery. So the business students worked on a real scientific discovery of one of the Oxford Brookes faculty. So they worked in teams with different faculty members, and the students at Oxford Brookes in bioscience translated the science for the business students. The business students translated what it meant to commercialize something like science. So what we did was we combined multiple disciplines, we combined multiple institutions, multiple countries. It was virtual for most of the entire term. And it also had a real life experience where the Oxford students came here for the first part of the term, and our students went to Oxford and visited them halfway through the term. So there were a whole lot of different learning experiences, but the high impact was especially around the research, the multiple disciplines, the global and diversity challenges of discussing and communicating with different types of people from different disciplines. And it's just it's a wonderful opportunity to provide impactful learning. So the challenge with high impact learning is that it's often not structured. So if you're really going to impact a student, you're not going to lay it all out for them and direct them and say, this is how you get to B from A. They have to figure that out. And sometimes they don't realize that that's part of the learning, that the structure isn't there so that they can learn how to put structure into their own learning experience. So that's a challenge, and that's something I would talk to other professors about, because it's frustrating for the students. You get a lot of feedback from them when they don't understand that not everything in life is structured, and that the most important experiences that they will have will probably be somewhat uncertain, and they need to take control of those experiences. The other thing that's really important with high impact learning is if we're talking about teamwork and we're talking about really amazing amounts of learning through multidisciplinary or international collaborations, then we need to start thinking about how people communicate with each other. And it takes a lot of communication from the professors involved. So most of my high impact learning involves team teaching. And the teachers have to be communicating at a different level than the students. The students also have to communicate because they might be, pairing with students from another discipline or another country, but so are the professors. And if the professors aren't communicating, then it just becomes a big problem. So you have to develop your relationships with other professors and really learn from each other and trust each other.
Overall, this experience was really great for me. It was awesome being able to work with international students, international clients, local clients, MBAs, because I was an undergrad. Overall, my experience was really wonderful. I would definitely advocate for anyone who was interested in taking this course to certainly pursue it. One thing that I really enjoyed was being able to work with something that was actually real. So we're working with real people, clients that are wanting to put a real product or service on the market. Usually in business, we take very traditional business courses, so they're usually pretty set and standard, but this one was very untraditional. So it was neat being able to work, like I said, with international clients, and the entire bit was just very, very interesting and very fun. So the course was beneficial in several ways. Most importantly, it brought together a lot of concepts that I had learned throughout my undergrad. So it really, in the end, everything that I had learned, I was able to bring to the table. So for instance, in my local project, we had conducted a survey. So in some of my courses, we had learned, what to include in a survey, how many questions, how to make it unbiased. And then alternatively, we learned, how to analyze this data, one or two pieces correlate with each other. So it was largely beneficial also in a sense where it helped with my soft skills. So communication, critical thinking, team working. A lot of employers do look for these types of skills. So a large reason this was beneficial was because I certainly learned a lot. And just had Francine had mentioned, a lot of this course in a way was self-taught. Not everything was laid out for us. It wasn't completely structured. So that was also a learning curve for me as well. But I think it's largely beneficial because in the real world, people don't hold your hand, and there's not always going to be a structured, set way to do it. You kind of have to figure it out for yourself. So that was a really important thing I think that I and the rest of my teammates had learned. So with this course, I certainly learned a lot. It was one of the hardest courses I've taken in my undergrad degree, but it was certainly one of the most rewarding. I learned how to work with different disciplines. I learned how to work with MBAs because I was an undergrad. I also learned how to deal with international students and international clients. And certainly one of the biggest aspects that I did learn was how to time manage myself. And again, going into the real world, this is something that I deal with now. So I believe this was a very good lesson for me to learn.